I think 7 of the 8 major wars being fought are either being fought over energy resources or somehow impacting energy resources. I think El Salvador was the first country to buy 300 of the H200 chips from NVIDIA for AI infrastructure. Any assets or any liquidity or treasury, whatever it is you have in Bitcoin, is 100% tax-free forever. By design, it's untouchable. This is kind of a 3-pillar narrative here, what I observe in El Salvador. Just to give it a context, the current executive, the current government is a firm believer and defender of sovereignty. And even their approach to sovereignty, we can break it down into 3 main sectors. Financial sovereignty, obviously with Bitcoin. Every day, somebody still pushes that button. The government still buys some more Bitcoin. And it's just a hedge against inflation of the dollar, against hard commitments with the International Monetary Fund, against dependency of the United States Federal Reserve, because it's a sovereign fund that no other external entity can touch or somehow pull the string to get the country to fall in line with policies that serve anybody else other than its own interests. The vector that I see this sovereignty approach take over is AI. I think El Salvador was the first country to buy, I think it was 300 of the H200 chips from NVIDIA for AI infrastructure. So if there are special strategic programs of the government using AI, that information now does not have to go to a cloud hosted in the United States or elsewhere. It stays inside El Salvador as well. So actually El Salvador is in a position to lend compute power to other countries rather than depend on their terms and conditions for compute power for any AI projects. And the third one is a bit more recent, but I think it's public already, is energy infrastructure, where there are conversations now around building a nuclear power plant. Because if you look at the world as well, I think 7 of the 8 major wars being fought are either being fought over energy resources or somehow impacting energy resources. So to become independent and self-sovereign, and when it comes to energy consumption, is also a big narrative here. So this is kind of the mindset that the current executive has. Now we go on to what is actually being done to attract people here and to not just to attract, but to stay. I wrote an article on this this week for one of the newspapers here, so it's kind of fresh. So there's 2 parts to this. Number 1, you attract the people. And this is something that El Salvador is doing well. Much like Dubai or like Singapore, El Salvador is not waiting for the demand to come to build the infrastructure that attracts people. Yeah. So much like Dubai, much like Singapore as well, El Salvador has done, is writing in the absence of legacy. Dubai and Singapore for different reasons, but El Salvador, I don't know how much you know about its history, but due to the gang violence that was allowed to exist in this country for the past 40 years, had been paralyzed. So there's no bilateral agreements, virtually. There's no legacy infrastructure in terms of legislation and law. So El Salvador is taking the advantage on this and building for the next 20 years. This means that even before there's a mass income of people who are in the blockchain infrastructure, who are Bitcoiners, El Salvador wrote the laws that accommodate those people when they do arrive. So right now, and if you look it up, all of this is very Googleable. El Salvador has what's been recognized as the number 1, like the best designed digital assets law in the world. Okay. It compounds into a lot of things, but countries are now coming here to learn about the legislative landscape of El Salvador and attracting people here. So this is kind of the base. And me also as a serious investor with a thesis that goes beyond Bitcoin as well, that's part of the reasons why I came to this country as well. There are other more surface level attractors. I'm sure you and your audience have heard of the Bitcoin passport, where you pay basically $1 million in Bitcoin and you get a passport. It was the first country in the world to do that. In 4 years, they got 60 people who did it. I'm not going to comment if it's a lot or not, but I'll let you kind of read into that. If it's if you feel kind of that's a good measure of success. If you manage your treasury, like whether you're an individual or you're a company, any assets or any liquidity or treasury, whatever it is you have in Bitcoin, is 100% tax free forever. By design, it's untouchable. So it's not untouchable because there's some loophole. The government said it's untouchable if it's in Bitcoin.